Hi everyone, welcome to Tigertales Toastmaster. Yeah, this is a wonderful night, and let's welcome our Toastmaster tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this wonderful meeting of Tigertales Toastmaster. Tonight, we have three speakers who are going to give wonderful speeches. And before I even begin the meeting, I would just like to give a shout out to our Clap Master and Zoom Master, Ruchi. And then the meeting that I'm going to start is divided into three parts. But before I even go there, let me back up a little bit. Today's meeting has a theme. The theme is the hero inside you. What does it mean? What does it mean to when you say that the hero inside you? Growing up, like when we're kids, we watch this. Like when we're kids, we watch superheroes and we admire them, and we want to be like them. We want to have their powers. But as you grow up and become adults, you see that your heroes are not the ones that you see on TV. It's the heroes that are in front of you in your day-to-day life. It's your father, your mother, your friends, your family, anybody. But sometimes, and often most of the times, we look for heroes outwards, but we never search for heroes that are inside us. We as humans are so incapable of seeing how strong we are when faced with any adversities, especially right now in this time. We have we as humanity has been extremely tough and extremely heroic, and even in our day-to-day lives, we show that heroic nature in anything, whether it's a difficult exam or whether it's giving a speech in front of hundreds of people, even 20 people or anything like that. And today we are going to celebrate these heroes that is inside each and every one of you. So that's the theme of the day. And with a Toastmasters meeting, the theme is often goes with the word of the day, which is audacious. And that word of the day will be explained further by our grammarian. But before that happens, let me introduce the functionaries of the meeting. The functionaries, I'll start with our timer, Alex. Alex, can you tell us what your role is for today's meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Imagine the end of the movie Infinity War. And Cap is getting ready to say, Avengers Assemble. If you show up 30 seconds late for that, you missed your moment. A big part of having the hero within is good timing. So I will give you the green card when you've hit the beginning of your range for arriving at the end of your speech. In the middle of your range, so for a 5 to 7 minute speech, that'll be 6 minutes. I'll show you the yellow card. And then at red, you will be 30 seconds away from missing your moment as a hero. So you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. This is your table topics master.
Thank you, Captain. Oh, I'm sorry, timer, Alex. Now let's move on to the next functionary, which is our counter, who is Bhakti. Bhakti, can you explain your role today?
Thank you, Tanay. I'll be looking out for filler words such as etc. And I'll also be looking for some of the overused words within your speeches. So try to limit the usage of such words. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Bhakti. And finally, our grammarian for the day, who is Brendan. Brendan, can you explain your role today?
As your grammarian, I will be looking for impressive uses of the English language and looking for areas where we could use some improvement. Also, I will be reminding you to use the word of the day, which is audacious. And this background comes with an extra special bonus. That little guy right there is myself, sitting on Charlie's Bunion between Tennessee and North Carolina. One of my more audacious moments, standing thousands of feet above a valley, or sitting rather. Audacious, showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. If I were to use alliteration, similar sounding words in progression, I would say Brendan is a bold, beardless boy in this picture. While the synonym fits, it's not really a good description for the word of the day. So for audacious, we're going to use Ajita as an example. Ajita is an audacious asker of questions. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Brendan. So now that we have known the roles of the functionaries, let's move on to the next section of first section of the meeting, which is prepared speeches. And talking about bold and brave, let's start with the speeches and all the speakers that are going to be bold and brave and share their stories and share the speeches in front of us. Our first speaker tonight is Destin, and evaluating him is Xavier. Xavier, can you explain what Destin's speech is and what are you looking in his speech?
Good evening, Toastmasters. I have the pleasure of evaluating Destin. Tonight, he is in his innovative planning pathway, level 2, which is intro to mentoring. He asked me to look for a few specific things, including body language, tone of voice, and speech structure. I'll be looking for those, and you know, Destin's always got something up his sleeve, it sounds like, so anything audacious as well. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Help me welcome Destin with his speech title, My Toastmaster Mentor Prodigy Experience. Destin.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. We hear the words mentor and mentorship a lot. But as far as I can remember personally, I don't recall a single time in my life where I was in the position of someone who is being mentored by someone else, or in the position of a protege, if you prefer. That was until I joined the Tigertales Toastmasters. The dictionary defines a mentor as an experienced and trusted advisor who influences, guides, and gives direction. That makes the protege a person who is guided and supported by the mentor. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I would like to share with you my Toastmaster mentor-protege experience. I said earlier that I don't recall a moment in my life where I was mentored by someone. But don't get me wrong. I have worked under someone else's direction before Toastmasters. But there is something more in mentorship, something extra. And it is that extra thing that was missing in my previous experiences. The mentor-protege experience is an intrinsic part of the Toastmasters International program. And as soon as I joined the club, I was assigned a mentor in the person of Alex Turner. Alex has always been there to help me prepare my speeches. He is the first person to hear my speeches before I deliver them in front of an audience. He will give me tips and advice to improve my speeches. In addition, Alex will also give me advice on how to deliver my speeches. I mean, my body language, my tone of voice, my gestures, and so on, so that the audience would really get what I am trying to convey. Here are two things that Alex will always tell me before a speech. Number one, Destin, you have to feel what you say. Put life in your words so that the audience will get what you're trying to say. That will help the audience to connect with you. Number two, Alex would always tell me, have fun with your speech. And that number two has always helped me a lot because at times I lose my confidence. I even stutter when I rehearse my speech with Alex. It happens that I forget some words, and that it makes it difficult for me to progress in my speech. But when I remember what he told me to have fun with my speech, I don't even pay attention to what I didn't say or did say or how I said it. I just spit it out and it goes fluently. Sometimes Alex brings Xavier with him when I rehearse my speech. Xavier is Alex's other protege. So in addition to having a mentor, I have a brother protege. They both encourage me to grow as a person. They help me to become more audacious. Alex is a very humble person, and he doesn't miss any occasion to talk about his own experience as a protege with his mentor, Corey Wilson. My relationship with Alex is not just limited to Tigertales. We do Bible studies together at his place. And every Sunday, Alex would come to my place to pick me up and drive me to his place. And while driving, he will ask me a lot of questions about my life, about my studies at RT, about my family back home, about my idea for my next speech, to the point that I barely have time to ask him questions about himself. He shows interest towards my person. He cares about me. And this is the extra thing that was missing in my previous experiences with my other mentors. So my relationship with Alex made me realize that in my previous experiences, I had coaches, but with Alex, I have a mentor. So I would like to close this speech by encouraging every one of us to look for that, to seek out for that extra thing with their mentors, to spend that extra time so that you will benefit a lot from that relationship, mentor, protege. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Destin, for that wonderful speech. Captain Timer, I'm sorry, Timer Alex, can we have 1 minute in the clock for feedbacks? Everybody can just send a feedback to Destin through personal message. And yeah, so 1 minute on the clock. Now let's move on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Hadija, and evaluating Hadija is Kelly. Kelly, can you please tell us about Hadija's speech and what will you be looking in her speech?
Tonight, Hadija will be giving her second speech, and it is the speech that she gives that she needs some feedback from, and she'll deliver another speech in the future with the feedback that's given tonight to incorporate. She would like me to look for how she delivers a speech and how well people understand her. Looking forward to what Khadija has to share with us tonight. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Help me welcome Khadija with the title of her speech, Nene's Golden Jubilee. Khadija.
The Prophet Muhammad Wasallam was asked by one of his disciples, "Who do we obey after Allah Almighty?" He replied, "Your mother." "Then who?" "Your mother." It was on the third time that he replied, "Your father." Mr. Toastmasters, my fellow Toastmasters and guests, we are gathered here today to celebrate the Golden Jubilee of one of the world's greatest people that I know, my mother, Nene Soma Food. Everything that I'm going to say today is encapsulated in my mother's first name, Nene, starting with the letter N. My mother is my Nobel Prize winner. I say this because of the way she achieved her law degree. My mother decided to go back to university while all of her 4 kids were still in school. It still baffles me as to how she was able to make sure the house was clean, make sure that we all go to school, work in the bank, and still graduate with an honors while still doing all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I can barely do my schoolwork and take care of an imaginary fish that I have in my head. The second letter of her name is an E. My mother is so energetic. Her energy and her speed will forever be unmatched. I am telling you, the day that that woman catches you doing anything, you better pray to God that your feet are fast enough for you to run. Because if she catches you, just pray. Pray to Almighty Allah that there is enough ice to help warm up your buttocks. Moving on to the next letter in her name is an N. My mother is a nature lover. I've never seen anyone that loves the green just as much as my mother. She hasn't gone a day where she doesn't go out into the fresh air to go enjoy nature and just see everybody and see everything around her. She loves nature so much that she brought it into her home. We have a pomegranate, an avocado, a banana, a plantain, and a lemon tree, all of that inside our house with countless amount of flowers all around that she takes care of herself. We also have cats and sheep that she nourishes and keeps very healthy. If you see them, they're very, very fat and beautiful. Moving on to the next letter, an E. My mother is very elegant, a 5'9" African Fulani woman, tall and very, very beautiful. I admire my mother so much for her gorgeous looks and her vital statistics. Looking at me, you can clearly tell that my father won this one. Moving on and finally into the last letter, H. Nene in Fulani means mother, but to me, mommy, you are more than that. You are my greatest source of happiness, the one home that I know that I can always come back to, and the reason why I always believe in hope. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for bringing me into this life and for you to be my mother. You are my greatest pillar and I will forever be grateful. I love you so much, mommy. Happy birthday! Thank you.
Thank you, Khadija, for that wonderful speech. Mr. Timer, can we have 1 minute on the clock so that everybody can give feedback to Khadija? Now moving on to the third and the last speaker of tonight, who is Deb, and evaluating Deb is Preetham. Preetham, can you explain, can you tell us more about Deb's speech and what you're looking for in her speech?
Hello everyone. Today Deb is doing an elective speech and she is looking for feedback on her storytelling skills and other areas of opportunity. She also wished me good morning for my nap. I'd like to tell you that I cleaned the kitchen today. I removed everything and cleaned everything, so I was very tired. Did a good job. And I'm here to evaluate Deb's speech. Back to you, Tanay.
Help me welcome Deb with the title of her speech, Pink Stripped Cookies. Deb.
Is there ever just a smell in your childhood, a taste in your childhood that just brings back all these beautiful, warm feelings? For me, it's this. It's a pink striped cookie from my hometown, Jamestown, New York. Now, some people might look at this and be like, Deb, why is it every time we go to Jamestown, you gotta get a box of pink striped cookies? Well, there's a story to this. To give you a little context, Jamestown, New York is where I was born and grew up. It was founded in 1810, so it has a very long history. It's about 30,000 people who live in the city. Not a hugely diverse population. About 91% of the population is white. But most of those white people are comprised of half Italian, half Swedish. That's the base of how Jamestown was founded. For context too, we're 300 miles from New York City, so we are nowhere near the Big Apple. We're near the big pink striped cookie. We're also referred to as the furniture capital of the world. So just to give you a little context of where I grew up. As a child, I had the joy of being able to go to what's referred to in the city as Ekelof's Bakery. I'm very intimately connected with this bakery for many reasons. The first one that comes to mind is my mom. If you know anything about my mom, you know she has an audacious personality. Everyone knows her in the city. We go to the store, easily 15-minute conversation with one person at least. This used to annoy me because it would prevent her from getting me to this. But in all of that, my mom worked overnights. She drove 45 minutes to her job pretty much every day. But when I was in kindergarten, she always made time for me. And this is a part of what I loved about our time together. At least once a week, we would get to take a trip to Ekelof's Bakery. This cookie, it's beautiful and buttery and sweet. They gave this for free to kids. Just waiting for them to get our donut ready to go. So I have many, many wonderful, lovely feelings about this cookie. It reminds me too of just the generosity of my community, that it was built on the backs of immigrants. When you drive through the city, there's this brick road. This is very characteristic of Jamestown because bricks were made in Jamestown. So there'd be this humming sound when you drove. You'd hear that when you drove. You could also hear it as a kid playing in the street at least 4 or 5 blocks away. You knew a car was coming, so you had ample time to get out of the way. So I'm reminded of the generosity of my community. And more importantly, though, the love of my childhood, of playing in the streets at night. In the summer, you know, my mom would, again, spend her time allowing our house to be a focal point for kids to come. We would play something called sneaks, which was just hide and seek at night. She'd make a huge pitcher of Kool-Aid. and popcorn and just watch us run around like crazy, yelling 11 o'clock at night. Just, it was a wild time in the summer because I had a whole neighborhood full of kids that I could play with. But I'm just constantly reminded of all of the beautiful memories that I got to be a part of because of my mom's love and her generosity. I'm also reminded of summers on the beach where we would just pack up a cooler and go and drive an hour out to the less stinky smelling beach because my mom loved us so much. She was willing to, again, sacrifice sleep to spend time with us and to give us a real, valuable, amazing, loving childhood. And a lot of that was due to my mother's audacious personality, high energy, much like Hajita's mom. I'm sure they'd be besties if we could find a way to get them to connect. But bringing it all back, my childhood is summed up in a pink striped cookie from a very Swedish part of town in Jamestown. The love of my mom, the generosity of my community, and the sweetness and benefits of youth. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Deb, for your speech. Mr. Timer, can we have 1 minute on the clock so that we can give feedback to Deb? All right, now let's move on to the next section of our meeting. It is one of my favorite sections. It is my favorite section of the Toastmasters meeting, which is table topics. And to conduct table topics, help me welcome Ajita, who is our table topics master today. Over to you, Ajita.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Before we move into the way we are going to conduct table topics today, I would like to refresh the rules for table topics. And to do that, I would like to ask our functionary, the timer for tonight, to tell us the timing rules for table topic.
Hi, everyone. Table topics is a 1 to 2 minute speech. So when I give you this green card, that means you're done. And you get this at 60 seconds, get this at 90 seconds, and you get this one at 2 minutes. And you'll have 30 seconds to wrap up. Then table topics master.
Thank you, Alex. And our next functionary is our grammarian, Brendan. Can you tell us the grammar rules for table topics?
Absolutely. To qualify for the virtual prize, you will need to use the word of the day, which is above me and is audacious. The definition is showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. The word of the day is Ajita. The sentence for the word of the day: Ajita is an audacious asker of questions as table topic master. Please use the word of the day. Look at my background. I will also send a little chat for whoever happens to be speaking at their turn. Back to you.
Thank you, Brendan, for telling us those rules. Along with the word of the day usage rule, we also have to follow the timer rules to qualify. You have to be at least 1 minute and above, and below 2.5 minutes to qualify for the virtual cookie. I wish we could get some cookies from there. With that, let's go into this session tonight. And I wanted to have a little different session, different table topics tonight, where I will be showing you different pictures like these, where my face will be moved out from the camera, and I'll be showing you pictures which represent different adventurous sports. And I want you to ignite your inner hero and imagine yourself in those pictures and make a story out of it. Whatever story you want to share, what led to you doing that, or how you felt after doing it, or anything which comes to your mind. Just be audacious and share your story. Doesn't it sound very simple? So with that, I'm looking for volunteers. Who would like to go first? Any volunteers? Sorry, I just lost it. Any volunteers? Xavier. So there you go.
Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guest, and Ajita, audacious axer of questions. Even though you didn't ask a question. This is clearly a scuba diver. And I can't tell because he's wearing a suit, but it almost looks like me. Like I've scuba dived before. And I have scuba dived before. But it wasn't in some murky terrain such as this. It was in a swimming pool. One time I was going on a camping trip, and as I was signing up, they said, hey, for an extra $15, do you want to go scuba diving? And I was like, yes, please, sign me up. So the next day, I show up in my bathing suit, ready to go, and they hand me all this stuff, this big old oxygen tank like the guy's wearing, the formal mask, and they said, dive in. So here I go, mapping this very clear terrain, not murky at all, but it was still a lot of fun. And at the bottom of this pool was a little doodle pad. It was like the magnetic one that you can draw pictures and stuff. It works underwater apparently, because we played tic-tac-toe sitting at the bottom of the pool. And that was the highlight of my scuba diving adventures. Madam Table Topics Master.
That was a wonderful experience, Xavier. But I wish we would not take our devices down there. There's so much more to do. Playing with the fishes around. Okay. Who wants to go next? And takers of the next. Hadija. There you go.
Wait, I lost the screen.
Khadija, you're muted.
I'm sorry.
Khadija, you're
Wait,
muted.
I'm sorry.
Now it's perfect. It's okay.
Now?
Yeah, now it's
my
perfect.
phone. I don't know how to use this on my phone. I'm so sorry. Okay, so exactly 2 years ago, after I went out with a couple of friends, we decided that we wanted to do something that we would live to remember for the rest of our life, do something that was very, very audacious, something that if we actually did die, we will die happily, and we will die quickly, and we will die very, very fast. So we decided to do this thing where we got somebody to tie ropes on two ends of a mountain. We didn't even know the guy, but he just did it. And then we just started walking on the ropes. Like, that's exactly what we did. We started to walk on the ropes Luckily, I survived, and we all survived. It was 2 years ago, and I would definitely not do that again in my life. I would definitely not risk my life like that again. But we live for the adventure. We live for the risk. So do take risk and do adventurous things, and make sure you always stay audacious, because we don't want a boring life. We all want sweet lives. And yes, tie ropes to 2 mountains and walk on it. Thank you.
That was a wonderful description, Hadija. And I saw everyone had smiles and laughter on their face with that description. Thank you for sharing that story. Who is the next volunteer? Kelly. And there you go.
How adventurous can you get? Climbing to the top of a mountain and being able to put your flag at the top to say, I completed this amazing, audacious mountain climb. It took me about 2 hours to do this. Most people it takes about 4, but I practically ran up this mountain in my suit. I have some oxygen on underneath this because the elevation gets so high, I don't want to stop breathing. And I needed it to get to the top of this mountain. I needed to show everyone that this is possible in the snow. And also when I was at the bottom, it was sun out. It was sunshine alone. I didn't hit the snow until about halfway through. And then I knew that I had to keep going and put my oxygen on so that I would not faint because of the elevation. I felt like a superhero though, and this is how my life feels being a mom. I think that some days are really sunny and I'm at the bottom of the mountain enjoying and basking in, wow, I'm doing a good job. This is awesome. And then I have to get on my feet again and just run up that mountain and keep going when times get tough and the weather gets tough and the tantrums come. But I tell you, at the end of the day, I'm sticking my flag in and saying, hooray, I made it through another day. This is an audacious task, is being a mother and being able to climb those mountains and stick your flag at the top. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Kelly, for that beautiful story of comparing the mountain climb with you being an audacious mother. Fun fact, this is the first Indian woman climber to climb Mount Everest. That's a photo. I see do we have time for one another? I see 8:15 is when the general evaluator is due. Can we have one more? Thank you. Okay, so one last volunteer. And any guests can also participate in the table topics. Table topics are open to guests as well. So if our guests want to participate, they are welcome to participate. Who would like to go next? Deb. All right. There you go.
When I was 10, I went to the ocean for the first time. And in my head, this is totally what I thought I was going to be able to do at the age of 10, the first time ever encountering a salty ocean. Now, to back up a little bit, 2 days before that, we had just gone to Universal Studios. And at the age of 10, I thought it'd be a really good idea to ride the Jaws ride. If you don't know what Jaws is, it's about a ginormous, audacious, machine-eating shark in some sleepy little port. I don't remember where. And it was terrifying. I was terrified. And then we came home from Universal Studios, and the next day, my grandfather continues to tell me about how dangerous sharks are. So then the next day, we decided to go to the ocean. My mom unknowingly, not knowing the impact that the Jaws ride had on me. So needless to say, I was incredibly cautious as a child, testing the waters, so to speak. And I remember getting swallowed up actually by a wave, because what do you know at 10 about how powerful waves are? And I was underwater spinning, terrified a shark was going to come eat me. My mom grabbed me, pulled me out, and I asked, why does the water taste like a salty pretzel? Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Deb, for sharing that story. I think I also keep looking at this image and I feel that I can do this, but I'm not going to be able to do it. With that, I would like to check with our functionaries. Did all our speakers qualify with the timing rules tonight?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And Mr. Grammarian, did all our speakers use the word of the day tonight?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to send out a poll and also the sequence of all the participants, and all of you can vote. With that, I pass on the control back to our Toastmaster for tonight, Tanay.
Thank you, Ajita. Now let's move on to the next section of our meeting, which is general evaluation. And to conduct that section, help me welcome Ming Sho, who is a general evaluator today. Ming Sho.
Yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to the evaluation section. In this section, we have two parts. In the first part, we will get the evaluation from our evaluators. And in the second part, we will hear the precious feedback from our functionaries. So now let's invite our computer timer to remind us with the timing rule.
Hi, everyone. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll give you this at 2 minutes, this at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And at 3 minutes, I'll show you the red card. And if you're not like me, you will wrap up within 30 seconds. Otherwise, you might keep going. I love evaluations. Enjoy, everybody. Have a good evaluation time.
Yeah. So the first speaker tonight was Destin, and his evaluator is Xavier. So let's invite Xavier to share his feedback with us.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and protege brother. Excellent work tonight, honestly. You asked me to look for body language, tone and voice, and speech structure. And all of those you smoothly incorporated into your speech while trying to get to 2 points that Alex taught you. Feel what you say and have fun. And you not only said those points, you also lived them out using these tools that you asked me to look for. For example, speech structure 1 and 2, very clear. All right, that's body language. Speech structure, you started your opening to say that you've never had a mentor before, which got me very curious because I feel like everyone's had a mentor before, but you kept that by talking about Alex and what he did for you and bringing that to the end, which I'll talk about a bit later. And then your tone and voice, you gave practical examples of things that Alex did for you, like driving in the car or going on a Bible study with you. All of these things, we can understand why this would be mentorship. If you were going to take this to the next level, Alex gave you 2 things: have fun, feel what you say. What I would suggest to elevate your speech is to live what you say. It's just above do what you say. And what this does is it brings us even more into the moment because we see what you feel in addition to hearing it in your voice. For example, oh, and it can add humor. For example, if you're practicing your speech and you stutter, very clear what that's doing. And if you can make fun of yourself in that way, it brings the audience in as well, or spit it out. Additionally, where was I? Oh, live what you say. So if you can bring us into the moments that you tangibly described, it will make it more fun as well. So if Alex is in the car asking you 20 questions, you can do that. How was your day? How's your master's thesis going? Do you have a job lined up? And it just brings us in that extra step. And we can kind of feel what your mind's going through, even if that's not what actually happened, because I know that Alex talks pretty slow. Finally, you had a strong conclusion. You answered the question that you had me thinking about from the beginning, which I feel like conclusions are at least the hardest part for me to get, because you basically gave your whole speech and now you're trying to exit gracefully. And I think that you are a master at exiting gracefully. If there's one strong, really key point that you have, it's definitely conclusions. So keep up the great work and live in the moment. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Xavier. And our second speaker was Hadija. Her evaluator is Katie. Let's invite Katie for her feedback.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Hadija. I am so excited every time I get to see your name on the agenda for sharing a speech. It started with a lot of table topics, and now we're moving into prepared speaking. So to be able to see you grow in this area has been exciting, and this is only your second formal speech. I love acronyms. So the fact that you used an acronym of your mom's first name and described her with those was beautiful. That was a great way for us to capture who she was and to really appreciate what you appreciate about her. You had a very good introduction. I liked how you phrased questions and then put your mom at the end and then did your dad last. And you also brought your dad up at another point. You used good descriptors of her. You said she was tall and beautiful. So it helps us to have a picture of who your mom is, even though we haven't necessarily met her or seen her before. You also had some humor mixed throughout, which is a very good way to keep your audience captivated. I loved your toast at the end. And I don't know if today is her birthday, but whenever it is, you could give this again and continue to celebrate her. So that was a great way to celebrate her, is by having a toast at the end. I'm going to focus a little bit more on a couple improvements, because I know this speech is something that you can give again and incorporate some of these things. You wanted me to look for delivery and understanding. One big thing that I have had to learn and continue to have to learn is to take more pauses. It's very easy to want to rush through a speech because we want to get to the next point, or we are excited about what we're sharing. So slowing down a little bit and making sure, if you ask a question, to pause for a moment to let us think about it. I loved how you did the intro, but it seemed very fast. I was catching up to it after you did the introduction of the addressing the Toastmaster and everyone, that I didn't quite catch everything you said. So slowing down a little bit and giving pauses, I think, will definitely help us capture those moments. Also, you can use some more body language to describe your mom throughout, like tall. You could lift your hands up, or you could lift the computer up, tall, or anything like that, to incorporate some more body language throughout the speech. And then for your conclusion, I felt like it was a little bit rushed, and you had lots of time still left. So to be able to sum up everything that you said put that in a summary about your mom's qualities, and then do your toast. I wouldn't rush right into the toast right away. Sum up what you said and then toast at the end would be a beautiful way to conclude that. So thank you so much for what you had to share tonight, and we're looking forward to hearing it again. And thank you for sharing who your mom is with us. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster, or General Evaluator.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you for your beautiful evaluation. Our last speaker tonight was Deb, and her evaluator is Prater. So let's invite Prater to share his evaluation with us.
Okay, so Deb, congratulations, first of all, for being so audacious and having the cookie in your hand, still not eating it until the end of your speech. That was the most audacious thing I've seen today, having a pink striped cookie and not eating it. I was specifically looking at your storytelling skills. There are a couple of things that were very impressive for you as a storyteller. One of the things was when you were talking about the brick road, you described how the cars would go and there would be humming sound. You actually made the humming sound. So we could actually see, and I was actually able to feel myself sitting in a car and driving across the brick road. You created a wonderful visual and experience for us. That's a very impressive thing for a storyteller to do. They put us in the actual scene that is being talked about. The second thing was you had some good humor in that story. You said one line where we are nowhere near the big apple, but we are near the big striped pink cookie. That was very funny. You kept us engaged through humor, your voices. You had a couple of descriptions about your mother, how she would have 15-minute conversations and you would be waiting to get your cookie. Those were very simple things that kept us engaged throughout. One point of improvement, at the end of the speech, you mentioned that your mother was more like Gina's mother. Well, I'm sure that 90% of people here who know who Gina is, 10% people might not know who Gina is. So you might want to set that context for people who don't know Gina and who her mother is like. So that would be my only advice, to keep everybody in mind. Some people might not know who you're talking about. Other than that, you had great humor throughout the speech, kept us very engaged. And I have been seeing you for a long time in the club. I would say that this is your best storytelling example that I have seen so far. So congratulations on that growth that you have through Toastmasters. You had good body language as well as use of vocal variety to put us in the experience of the story. So those were your great points. To improve your speech, make sure that whatever or whoever you're talking about, the audience knows about that person or that thing. That would be my feedback, and back to Mingshu.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for your amazing evaluation. And right now, we will get reports from our functionaries. So first, we will get report from our timer. So keep the timer, put your shield down.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Everyone made it through their portals on time as the theme music was playing and building up. Da-dun, 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 bum, 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 bum. Yeah, everyone made it through, and we got to have that big climax right on time. Everyone qualified for their timing requirements. Our speakers came in a little short, our evaluators came in a little long, but everyone was in that window. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. And right now we will get feedback from our all-counter Bhakti. So Bhakti, can you unmute yourself and share your report with us?
Thank you, Mingsho. Today's our counter report. First, I would like to start with our Toastmaster Tanay. You had 4 hours within your speech, and I guess 2 or 3 of the hours came in the beginning of your speech when you were rushing to say a sentence, but you suddenly slowed down and you had 0 filler words after that. So you know what is to be done, and I don't need to give any suggestion. Just slow down your speech, and that will reduce the amount of filler words within your speech. For the speakers, Destin, today you were a good example of how not to use the filler words. You had very good use of pauses. Your pacing was excellent tonight. That is something I am inspired to do for my next speech. Hadija had 0 filler words. Deb, your only crime was you talked about cookies tonight. Table Topics has the most excellent report because none of the speaker used any of the filler words, even though this is the section I expect where people will use filler words because this section is completely unprepared. So excellent job on Table Topic speakers tonight. Evaluators, Xavier, you had 2 hours as you were looking down at your notes. When you were looking down, you were saying, so maybe don't do that. Other than that, Kelly had 0 words, Preetham had 0 words, Mingsho had 0 words, Ajita had 0 words. One of the best report on our counter. Back to you, Mingsho.
Thank you, Bhakti, for your report. I think I should join the table topic sections, and you have more work to do. Yeah. Right now, we will move on to our first functionary, grammarian. So, Mr. Grammarian, can you unmute yourself and share your report?
Absolutely. I want to do the grammarian's report a little different tonight. So first, we're going to start with the word of the day, which, congratulations, everyone used it where they were supposed to use it. And this word was used correctly and liberally. And this is the best example of using the word of the day, to find ways to include it in the meeting that are fun or creative, to expand our use of vocabulary. If this happens to be your favorite word and you use it all the time, then there was no expanding for you. But that's what the word of the day is meant to do, to have it as an item to focus on and include impromptu within your speaking. And sometimes no one says the word of the day, or I've seen meetings where it's mentioned by the grammarian twice and that's it. So congratulations. It's always exciting to see when the word of the day is used that often. I had one feedback for Tanai. I don't know if it was your headset, but whenever you introduced the speech, I never caught the titles. It was just a little, it seemed like there was some feedback or background noise. You were speaking too fast. So something to think about for the future. The rest of your speaking was good, but it was just the speech titles twice. I couldn't hear it. But the last thing I want to do that's a little different is not give a technical feedback on here's the grammatical skills and techniques and devices that you used, but more how it felt. Because I think there was a lot of good examples of clever language or turns of phrase that people used that really make for an engaging speech. So I loved Destin just spit it out. To have this image, obviously you didn't spit anything out physically, but having phrases like that really draw in the listener. Having a brother protege. There was no legal process of adoption between you and Xavier, but to have phrases like that are really engaging. So well done. Hadija, I loved the rhetoric in the beginning of obeying God, your mother, and then father. It was really clever, true, and it was a really great way to start your speech. Having this imaginary fish inside of your head that, you can barely do that and your schoolwork, you could have very easily have said that any other way and we would have understood. But to have this ridiculous thing in addition to your schoolwork it's fun, it's engaging. And throughout table topics, there were fantastic moments. Again, Hadija, the tying a rope between two mountains and walk on it. I feel like that would be a great slogan for facing your fear and being courageous. And lost my microphone and whatever you're doing. And then the last one I wanted to focus on, and why I wanted to do it this way is highlighting Deb's speech. And Freedom already said it, but there was such an engaging level of storytelling that I personally haven't seen in Deb's speeches before. So I hope that the rest of you felt it. When Deb was speaking, I've never been to Jamestown. I'm sure most of us have never been to Jamestown, but I felt like I was there, running around late at night, waiting for snacks and drinks, screaming, running around with the kids, listening to the car, running over the cobblestone and brick. So that right there, it's hard to pin down if I were to say, what skills did Deb or the other speakers use to make a really engaging speech? But it's important. It's beyond the technical grammar skills, and it taps into something that's memorable for each of us. And all of you who spoke tonight, table topics and speaking, did that extremely well. Back to you. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for your very detailed report. I really appreciate it. And right now, I will give my general evaluation for this meeting. So the first thing I want to mention is the timing, the time of our meetings. Tonight we were a little bit late when began this meeting, and I really understand because we don't want to miss anybody. So I wish everyone could get in here on time. And the second thing, I want to show my respect to Ruchi. She did 2 roles. And the last time I was trying to do the Zoom master and Cam master in the same moment, but I failed. I wish I could have 3 hands to figure it out, to operate it. But you did it. Just use 2 hands. Wow, that's wonderful. You are like a superhero. Yeah. And the next thing I want to mention is I think our meetings is being more humorous. I can tell lots of our members are adding humors to our meetings. I think it's very good. I really love it. I think more humor can make our meeting more engaging. I really appreciate it. And our table topic sections is getting way more interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting, very engaging, and sometimes I'm just afraid of to. I think I'm not be able to handle this very interesting topic, but I really like this section. I think it's my problem. Yeah, it's my problem. And the last thing I want to mention is tonight we have a guest. I want to invite you to share your feeling, or do you have anything you want to say, Jinan?
Hello, can anybody hear me? Yeah, okay, good. So my name is Jun An. I just saw the invite in my email, so I just joined. I actually was a member like 2 or 3 years ago for a very short time. Probably nobody remembers me. And I just look some familiar face. I think Zawir and Alex, they are old members. So yeah, but they probably don't remember me because I didn't give any speech at that time because I was a graduate student and I was trying to engage more, but this study makes me very stressful. So currently, so I actually living very far away from Rochester. I'm currently in Utah. So yeah, I didn't have my dinner yet. I just get a little bit starvation to attend attend this meeting. Yeah, I'm always I'm that kind of person like who not always, but most of the time who have the fear of speaking publicly, and I cannot control when I have the fear when I don't. So yeah, I actually like this kind of club very much, and I always want to engage. And now I already graduated, and I'm currently working as a software engineer. So after off time, I can have more free time to do whatever I want. So I don't know like how long this meeting will keep online. I just wish I can engage as much as possible from now on because I used to be a member, so I have those books, but I never give my speech. I wish I can give some one day. Yeah, that's all. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. And I think your spoken English is great. You're way better than me. And yeah, if you enjoy this meeting, you can definitely join us more times. Yeah. And right now, I will go back to our Toastmaster tonight.
And now the moment that everybody's the moment. I'm sorry, not the movement. The moment that everybody for. The winner of table topics is Kelly. Kelly, you can collect the virtual chocolate or the real chocolate from, I guess, the President Bhakti. And
come on over, Kelly. Come on over.
Thank you.
yeah. So now let me give the control to the President Bhakti. Bhakti, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Tanay. I would like to say, Mingsho, this is not only your problem. I think it's my problem as well. That's why I love attending these meetings. I think I'm pronouncing this right, Junan. You can attend this meeting online. We expect this to run at least for the summer. We can't predict what will happen in future, but as long as we are online, you're welcome to attend anytime you like. Tonight was a great meeting. We had short but very powerful speeches. So thank you everyone who joined tonight. And if you would like to volunteer for future roles or would like to give speeches next week, please let me know, as Hassan is not present today. You can tell me or you can message Hassan directly. With that, I will conclude tonight's meeting. Thank you everyone for joining.